2017. Welcome to another episode of Redacted. This episode is brought to you by Antlion Audio and their new Mod Mic 5, the mic that you add to your existing headsets. It is now available for $69.95 on their website. Go check it out! Antlion in chat. What's going on, guys?
I'm excited. Mine's on the way. I got my tracking info.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, buddy. I'm excited.
Oh my god. It's not something that's exciting. It's something that's useful.
Bard, can you fix your green screen?
Oh no, what's wrong with it? What's happened?
Okay, you can see your own video feed. What do you mean, what's wrong with it?
What's wrong with it?
Look at
your right
your
side.
video feed, dude.
What's going on?
Jesus Christ.
What is it? Oh shit! I opened like a door. Look, you should have got that. Is that okay? You good?
That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
At
you can-
Redacted, we take pride in professional content and looking professional on all our
Yeah.
content that we
The
make.
views of Redacted aren't necessarily the views of Boredgamer. So sometimes I just like stuff to look a bit shit. Bring in the class.
Jesus.
Bring in the class. Is it
like
a sexton or something there? Well, oh, fine.
yeah. No, we have I've looked into the issues, and before anybody says, "Oh, they're really choppy," and "Oh, they're frozen," or the video's freezing.
Yeah.
It's not the video, it's not OBS. You'll see I'm perfectly fine. It's Skype. And what
Skype.
it is it's when we're getting from multiple people from really far away, it breaks it. So we need to
Like when me and Source were just on the call, it was
It was
fine.
perfect.
When Board came in, it broke.
and you guys saw last week right after the podcast when I had just Nubifier, it was fine. I haven't been able to test it with just Board yet, but I think it'd be fine even if it was just Board. So that being said, we are currently aware of that, but luckily audio is still fine, so we're doing our best here. Twerk, I have a video of you
Crackle.
up here of you playing some Mass Effect.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what I've been up to this week. Is I don't think I've played Star Citizen at all this week on stream. And I probably won't do much until 261. I pretty much feel like I've talked about this on the podcast before. Is I feel like Star Marine, once you've played one match, you've kind of played them all. While I find Star Marine extremely fun, I also want my streams to be entertaining and enjoyable. And I don't know if they're as in like and that's the main feature in 2.6, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know if I feel like I feel like my streams have really been lacking since I started playing Star Marine. I'm just not
Right.
happy with them. I went back and looked at them, and I want to, I've talked to the stream a bit, and I want to continue to grow and get better at streaming and stuff like that. And I just didn't see Star Marine being that. They're it's hard to talk with the chat. It's hard to have topics to talk about. So. I actually did play Star Citizen one day this week, and we'll talk about that a bit later. But for the most part, I finished Mass Effect 1, which was fun.
Yep.
And I'm kind of I wouldn't say halfway through. It's like maybe a quarter of the way through Mass Effect 2, and Mass Effect 2 is a significant improvement on
Best one of
Mass
the
Effect
series.
1 as far as
Right.
gameplay goes. I hate the story in Mass Effect 2. I think it's so stupid.
Come on.
I'm not gonna spoil anything, but
I'm not gonna
Shepard's
spoil
not
it. It's
Jesus. Shepard's not Jesus. It's kind of dumb. So, yeah. Other than that, that's really what I've been up to off stream. I've been playing a lot of H1Z1 actually. I've played with Sergeant Gamble and Manny GPT last night. I was up really late last night playing. I was like, it was one of those, okay, one more, okay, one more, okay, one more, and you just kept playing. And we
Yeah.
ended up winning one 5-man BR, which was pretty nice, and
That's
came
alright.
like top 5 in a couple. So it was really good. It's such a good game, such a fun game. I think it's actually a pretty terrible game, but it's really fun to play. And actually going from H1Z1 and coming back to Star Marine, you see a lot more of the issues with Star Marine and what needs to be worked out. So I'm really looking forward to 261, because that's like, we'll go through the feature list in a few minutes, but that's all of those things that they plan on putting into 261 is like all the stuff that should really make it more well-rounded and more fun to play. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
What
Right
about
on.
you, Board?
You also had some car stuff, right?
Oh, for fuck's sake! So I have a Honda. And
Yeah.
it's I've had this recall in the car for over a year, and it's an airbag issue. And if you live in a hot state or a hot area, if an airbag goes off, it will launch shrapnel into your face and kill you. And I haven't fixed it for a year out of pure laziness. So I finally go to the dealership to get it fixed, and they say it's going to take like 2 hours. I'm like, okay, cool. So I know my car's old. I have no idea how much like cars that I might be interested in would cost. So instead of looking on the internet, let me go walk around the lot. So I walk around the lot. Instantly, this fucking kid comes up to me and he's like, "Oh, how can I help you?" And I'm like, "I'm just looking. I'm not really going to buy anything today." And he's like, "You want to bet?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to bet.
You should.
Yeah, I want to bet. And I'm like, "I'm not buying a car today. So like, go bother somebody else. Don't waste your time with me. I'm too nice." And I was like, "Don't waste your time. I'm not going to buy a car." And he's like, "We'll see about that." I'm like, "Okay." So I end up test driving like a Honda Accord and do it. Like I just like, fine, I'll fucking waste your time then. So I just gathered all the information from him I possibly could. It took like an hour and a half, and then I go wait another about half an hour for my car, and then they come up to me and go, "So we chose the wrong airbag, so it's gonna be like another hour." And I'm like, so I sat there for 4 hours waiting for my car to get fixed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And got absolutely like abused by these car salesmen. And I was like, "Listen, you'll get a sale if you stop bothering me. But if you keep going, I'm not going to come back here and buy a car." So, like, you want a sale, you don't need a sale today. You want a sale at some point, right? Like, whether you get it today or tomorrow, you're going to get paid. So I don't understand.
Yeah.
So, they're not getting a sale. to put it
Lately,
bluntly.
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
But that's right. Yeah, that's been my week.
So
Gotcha.
I think that something that the UK doesn't have, which it should have, is good customer service that America has. But we don't have the
Not
same
with car
type of
dealership.
we don't
Yeah.
have the same type of salespersons that America have, which are
God.
so pushy,
Yeah.
like, and so arrogant as well. It's just like, okay, fuck off!
Like, yeah. Do you
They're
want
allowed-
to bet? Do you want? It's like a kid. He's like 25, coming up to me and being like, "You want to bet I can't sell you a car?" Yeah.
It's
I don't
like-
even know how much money how much money I can afford to like put towards anything. So I'm not
You
making any
be an arena
decisions
commander
today.
first, bro. Then we'll fucking talk. That's what you
Yeah.
should have done.
Let me figure out how much YouTube money I'm gonna make. $10.
Yeah.
So,
Oh
yeah.
man.
It's it was an interesting day. Oh,
Fair
you
enough.
want to bet?
We'll have sticks now.
And what about yourself, Board? What have you been up to this past week?
Yeah, so I've been recovering from flu. I've just got a terribly weak constitution recently, just because I've been a bit like lazy and like laying in bed and just like, go away, world, you're a piece of shit. But I'm better now. I'm getting better. I'm good. I've been playing. Been watching lots of Resident Evil with my friend play on stream.
Yeah, you're kind of
Control.
explaining that earlier, so I guess explain it to the podcast. I still don't really get it.
So I play games in the evening with my friends, and one of the things that we like to do is we like to play puzzle games and mystery games and some horror games. We get our mate Kit to play, and she really enjoys them, but she doesn't have the best sense of direction or necessarily the best at puzzles, although she's pretty good. But we all play together, so we literally just giving her tips and advice as she's playing, going, "Oh, check that out, or do this, or do that," while she's playing.
Mm-hmm.
Streaming tool that allows us to stream with no delay between our computers. And basically what I was doing on my stream was having people help guide her. It was sort of like my stream plays Resident Evil 7. And that's what the sort of stuff I've been quite enjoying doing recently, just sort of like chilling out with another game. Not having to do much myself, just going,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just hang out and watch.
Just hang out. I mean, I can actually read the chat when I'm not doing anything else. It's great most of the time.
Moses still can't read the chat.
But that's in addition to my standard, into my standard streaming as well. As
Right.
In the evenings, I just chill out. I'll play some board games as well and stuff like that. So just be pretty chill kind of streams. Other than that, I've been getting back on track with my videos. I had a bit of a shitty time over the last couple of weeks with my video content, that I just wasn't focused on it. I just didn't give a fuck about stuff. I was like, really fucking depressed. But now, boom, back on it. I've got starting to do the videos again, like I used to, looking at game mechanics, looking at the future of the game. Got lots of stuff planned. Hopefully, I should be getting 5 relatively good videos out a week again. That's the plan. I say 4 and 1 okay one. Let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, and just playing a load of Star Citizen, probably not as much Star Citizen as I should be playing.
I'm definitely not playing as much as I should be.
I think everybody's playing less. Even I'm not playing that much.
If you look at the regular Star Citizen streamers, I haven't seen any of them playing Star Citizen lately.
Well, at the moment,
The OGs, I guess.
And Mass Effect seem to be quite heavily played. Obviously, we've got Andromeda coming out.
We know all Andromeda's coming, yeah.
And Resident Evil 7 is genuinely really, really fucking good. I'm sure, yes, I know Source has been playing. I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Please, no spoilers past the part I'm at. That's all right.
The part that you're watching, you mean?
The
guy's not even playing.
We're all playing it together.
Uh-huh.
It's a community game.
Uh-huh.
Other than that, I'm plodding along with Star Citizen content. I've got back on track. What about you, Source? What are you up to?
I've mostly been working on Streamhouse stuff, getting that all situated. Playing some Star Marine. I started playing some Resident Evil 7 as well. I've really, really enjoyed it a lot. The other Resident Evils I didn't like because of the controls and some of the game mechanics. Some of the game mechanics still really annoy me. I didn't like, for example, like how the boss fights were handled, and I like the fact that there's like only so many save states. It's very obvious this game was made for a console, is what it's boiled down to. It's still fun. It looks amazing. I'm excited to try it in VR with proper VR, not this console VR stuff. But that's going to be out for a while. But it's been really fun. I really enjoyed like the puzzles and playing something new and different. I'm about 8.5 hours in right now, with at least an hour or 2 on boss fights. But it's been fun, and also been working on getting all of my dual stream stuff already and going. Playing with other content creators and stuff like that at nighttime. And it's just sort of what we've been working on. Outside of that, not really a whole lot. Haven't been playing as much Star Marine, so I've been trying to just play up until my sodium limits can handle, and then I'll go and I'll switch to another game, or I'll do something at that point. Because at this point, it's not like there's anything new being learned. It's not like I'm getting better. It's just I enjoy it's like a catch-22. I really enjoy playing the game, but I do
too.
And so I look forward to playing it. But then after about 4 or 5 rounds, it just becomes blatantly obvious that it's like I'm not always dying to skill. I'm dying to other things, or I'm not being able to perform to my best, and it just gets under my skin. I just can't handle it. So, going to be probably seeing a lot of other games on the channel as well as Star Citizen. I realize that's not really necessary for everybody, but I have to do sort of what's best for me at the end of the day. So, yeah, just been working on that stuff and getting Streamhouse stuff ready. For the most part. Yeah. So, let's jump into the doc. I added a couple things down there in red, by the way. But let's talk about the weekly newsletter. So, Torque, do you want to take this away, and I'll pull this up?
Yeah. So every week, if you guys don't know, that they send you a newsletter in your email, and they started out with the fact that the high level meetings are still going on, and they started ATV out with that as well. So as far as updates and the level of content that we're going to get that we got this past week, There's reasons why it was a little not lackluster, or I guess lacking is a decent word to use. I think it was good. I enjoyed this week's content, but it was still more a bit of the past or the behind the scenes kind of stuff rather than
it was lean.
Mm-hmm.
It's not meaty like we want. We want that depth.
It's not even not meaty like we want. It's not meaty like it normally is. And Chris started out ATV with saying that expect more meat in the future because we're still doing the high level meetings. They also mentioned that the 2.61 schedule was released. Mm-hmm. So in there, I have the schedule report thing. So I just pointed some key updates on it.
Before we jump into the schedule report, they showed an interior view of the Banu Merchantman. And I know there's a lot of people
good catch.
who are really, really excited about the Banu. I have it up here now. The interior. Is this what you were expecting?
Most people are excited about the Banu Merchantman, even if they're not getting one themselves. Yeah, because for pirates, it's a juicy fucking piece of salvage. For people that want a more diverse verse,
while I agree with you to a certain extent, I'm gonna have to say I don't really care about ships as much as I did in general.
But look at it this way: I don't care as much about ships either. But the fact that they're we've only ever seen the outside of.
No, I'm not saying it's not cool. I'm definitely not saying that. Oh, it was cool to see, and even I was excited to see it.
I think it's important to flesh out the universe. We don't know what new planets or buildings look like. Right?
100%. I agree with you on that. I think that's
the only reason I think this is relevant.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't think that it has the impact now that it would have maybe a year ago.
Oh, I just love seeing this alien stuff. I love seeing the direction of stuff that is not.
No, I agree. I still agree with you. I just don't think it has as big an impact as it would.
Yeah, I've been saying this. That's all. Ships don't matter anymore to most of the community. I don't think. I think what's important to the community now is gameplay.
So I'm easy to sell DLC to. I mean, I bought the DLC for Resident Evil 7, even though I probably know that in the future it will be cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it's not out yet, right? There's no DLC.
Yeah.
It's just a season pass.
Ships are cool, but we've been seeing ships for 4 years, so I don't think personally, it's I think most people are kind of ready for some gameplay, and I think I'm not speaking for a minority of the community. I'm speaking for the majority.
We definitely that gameplay is super essential. But it's just I still get excited as hell.
Don't get me wrong, I was super excited for this, but I'm kind of with Saurus as if this was shown a year ago, it would have a bigger impact, and I don't know if they really care what kind of impact it has at the moment. It was hey, we're working.
I don't think they care either.
Was concept art, just to look at it a little more. That was clearly concept art. That didn't look like it was 3D modeled or in engine by any means, right? So I don't think we can take a look at it and say, "Oh, we're really close," or we're whatever. So it's just a thing hey, you remember when we talked about the Banu style guide? Here's the internals. Here's a hallway. This is kind of what we're thinking about. And then maybe they were looking at if we would go ooh or if we would go and I think most of it was ooh, that's pretty nice. I like that.
What other sounds would people make?
Ooh.
Yeah, but don't ever do that again.
What? Why? This is sort of sounds I make when I see ships.
Moving forward into the schedule report. And Bored, you actually
some key updates.
You just had a video that went live with this, right?
Yeah, so I literally a few seconds ago it went live.
Okay.
It just looks at the features and fixes quite in depth. Look at 2.6.1 and what's going to be in there, and what's planned to be in there, and then a little at 2.6.2 and the intention of all the patches and everything. I'll get up an article on their website in a second as well.
Cool. And I just threw some bullet points and I figured we can discuss them a bit. Anything that was worth super discussing. So, one of the first really cool updates for tournaments and stuff like that is, or streaming tournaments at least, is players are able to enter matches as spectators now.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. And then there was some bug report that, there was crashing when you would go in, and they had already fixed that, or it was planned to be fixed.
Right. But they had already internally tested that and came up with those solutions.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty cool. other than tournaments or machinima, I don't really see a use for it. And I don't necessarily,
Yeah.
in my opinion, I don't necessarily see the need for it right now.
The thing
but
is it's
maybe
something
they
that I
need it
think
for
is
their
super
own stuff.
super easy to implement as well.
Perhaps, yeah.
Because to be honest, it's the same thing as when you die. It's just removing the HUD and being able to fly around. So just being able to spawn in like that, and so just being able to spawn in those different states. I mean, I don't think it was
And
that
not
difficult.
count.
Yeah, I don't think it was that difficult for them to implement. What I'm looking forward to the most is the serialized variable and the message ordering. Basically because this is like the packet stuff, right? So a lot of this, even though we know, and we'll talk about this more in a second, that the servers aren't opening up more until 2.62, but this is going to help, hopefully, knock on wood, drastically with the latency. Even with 100 ping or whatever, because of the message ordering of, the bullet hit me and then whatever. So the way that that's all going to be sent out and whatever. I'm really looking forward to see what kind of improvements that makes. It still may not make it perfect, but it should make it better.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, indeed. I mean, so serialized variables and bind culling as well. They're there to optimize bandwidth and just send appropriate data to the clients. It's going to improve server to client transmission significantly and client to client transmission significantly. You see what I mean?
Yes.
It should also help with, and the patch is also intended to look at desynchronization. Obviously, that is a major issue in Star Marine.
Right.
General client disconnects, infinite back screen loading, memory leaks. Memory leaks are a major problem that people don't realize they're having in a lot of situations.
I have lots of issues with it.
Yeah.
No,
it's huge, and it uses up a lot of RAM, and like, not everybody runs, 32 gigs plus of RAM.
Well, indeed, and
with
it's
all
still
that
gonna.
stuff. And it's still
memory leaks to a certain level. When you get massive memory leaks, you don't notice them, even if you do have the RAM there. It's still going to make your game shit.
Yeah, it's still going to bog things down.
Now that networking stuff there is actually pretty awesome. They've got planned.
Now, will this stuff fix issues in the PU and issues in Arena Commander, or is this just?
It should fix everything
Star
across
Marine
the
only?
board. It should fix things across the board.
Okay.
It's both, but the desynchronization was obviously more obvious.
Desynchronization still definitely happens in the persistent universe, but it's not as obvious because it's not on that same scale. Now there's. Go ahead.
I want to hit this, but are you still talking about serialized variables? Because I want to mention.
I wasn't. No, I was going to move on.
Okay, so before we go on, there was. I'm sure we talked about this in previous podcasts, but there was a video by a non-Star Citizen community member, just this guy who makes like FPS videos about desync and servers. Remember the guy who just straight up tested the Star Marine video or Star Marine?
Was that battle nonsense?
Maybe. I don't remember his name, but there was a guy who did it, and it was a great video. And the one thing that he pointed out was, I've never seen anything like how much data they're sending back and forth. I've never seen any game like this before. And it's clear that it's unoptimized, and this is the fix for that.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to point that out.
Like I said, we should see some improvements for sure. Now there is something controversial. I've talked about this on my stream a little bit before. Now when you go down into the UI stuff, at the very bottom there is a thing, and it says grenade indicator. And I had a couple of CIG staff that were in my channel, and I asked them if this is something that's going to mark just the player, your grenades, or if there's going to be like how you have the triangles above players, right? So if this is going to be a triangle thing, it's going to be something similar to that, like an indicator. They're also adding sounds and stuff in for the grenades as well.
Yeah,
there's sounds
which
now,
is
but
good.
They need to be louder.
The grenade sounds don't exist.
Now have audio. Yes, the impacts now.
But the grenade indicator, from what I understand, is not only for the players' grenades, which I think they should be for, and only for, but they're also going to be for enemy grenades. Now, I wanted to know what you guys thought about that. I personally...
First, I'd like to hear why you don't want them to be for the enemy grenades, because that's mind-boggling to me.
Because I think that people should be, like... Now, in the state of the game now, it's a hot mess, and
yes,
and you don't hear them because there's no sounds or whatever. But they're implementing sounds with this same patch, and I think that you should be listening for them. If you didn't throw a grenade and you hear a grenade go ting ting ting, then maybe you should move. I don't think that having markers like big red, I'm right here, markers are gonna help the gameplay at all. I think that it should be more of a skill check thing than anything else. You only get 2 grenades at a time.
In the future,
Yeah.
I definitely want helmets and Mobi-Glass mods that I have to make a choice of which mods to install
Yeah.
to allow me to go, do I have a radar or do I have a grenade indicator? Do I have this or
Right.
do I have this? I want that in the future. In the
Let's talk
meantime,
261, yeah, though.
Yeah, in the
Yeah,
meantime,
but we're specifically
I don't
talking
mind
Star
them.
Marine.
Yeah,
right
I
now.
don't mind them testing with grenade indicators for
Right.
everyone. Let's
Right.
see how it works.
It definitely can and most definitely will change. I think like the radar, it's a little overpowered, or like even the markers above enemy players. I don't
think
like.
grenades on and friendly fire on. I mean,
I think friendly fire should definitely be a thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't play any modes where there is friendly fire, but I think friendly fire should definitely be a thing. And number 2, you should only see markers above your own players or be able to see stuff for them. If somebody's hiding in the shadows, I don't want to see a big "fuck you" red arrow above their head.
I think
you know
how
what
to
I mean?
fix that is right now I did the test. It's 70 meters for the under 70 meters is when you see a triangle above somebody's head.
Yeah.
If you just lower that a little bit or to half, I think that'll fix it a lot.
What I'd like to see is that I want to see not a grenade indicator, but possible grenade indicator. So if a bottle that's the same size as a grenade flies past my screen, my fucking helmet goes, possible grenade.
Yes.
Okay. That sort of stuff,
So-
I love. I think that's a great idea.
So I think
But-
there's a middle ground that I could agree with, and you sort of touched on that a little bit, Bored, and that's as different elements that you choose that have downsides. So if you choose the grenade indicator, then maybe you don't get the radar, or if you choose the radar, you don't get the grenade indicator, or whatever. Like you have to choose one or the other. I think that a lot of it is I hope that this isn't indicative in the final game where they just give you all this information on the enemy players.
I think it comes down to they made the armor looking way too similar to each other. And if, like, I'm looking at the chat a little bit, like, Magnetron brought up a point that I've brought up on the podcast and feel very strongly about. If we're going to keep the armor the same, then you have to press Q to spot. And if you spot, then the triangle goes above their head, and it goes above their head for your team for X amount of time or until you lose sight of them, whatever they decide. Or you do something like with what NK Sharp said, and said, I prefer that they only show up on the radar if they're seen. But that's kind of overpowered for Star Citizen because we get the triangle over the head, right?
Yeah.
But if you're just seen, you might not actually be seeing them, but you're seeing them. You know what I'm saying?
Like for example, if they're hiding in shadows.
Hold on. I want to finish it because I know I'm gonna lose my train of thought if I don't. So what I would like to see is maybe a middle ground. Like the reason that works for Counter-Strike, I think, is because each side looks completely different from each other. So you have to either do that or you do something like press Q to you can't have what we have now because it's just too easy.
Yeah.
Like I won't see somebody, but then all of a sudden a triangle pops up, you know? And then it also we can talk about radar forever as well, which we probably will talk about a bit later. But go ahead, guys.
My biggest thing with the triangle is I agree with you because if you don't see anybody, but you're 10 meters away, but you don't see that there's somebody lying down there in the shadows, not moving, but they get this big fuck you arrow over their head. It's like, that glows in the dark, you know. It's hard to miss, and that's taking away from the player's skill.
Yeah.
Or the player having to check all their corners and do all of this stuff.
And that
goes the same thing with the
away
radar. Right. It takes away from it a little bit. So I think that if you make those hard choices that the player has to make to have those things. If you're going to include them, then that's sort of what you need to do. Once again, we know that this is first iterations of it, and it could just be that they're blanket testing everything and whatever, and that's cool. But it's still good to give this feedback out to them and let them know sort of how we feel about certain mechanics being in the game. Keep them in check, if you will.
I mean, I think that one of the major issues is literally we just don't have the choice of the stuff that they're going to put in eventually. We don't have a choice of gadgets and grenades. We don't have enough weapons yet. We don't have the armors. We don't have all of it. We need all of this stuff in. We need all these different types of radar and all that sort of stuff. And then we make meaningful choices with the stuff, and stuff's less OP and more of a tactical decision.
Right.
Yeah, but I think there's things that you can do to make with, because obviously that stuff will take some development, take some time, needs item 2.0, needs all this shit. So we can take the game that we have now, and I think you can make it a little bit better.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And, yeah.
Also, I want to interject really
that stuff
quickly.
helps.
If anybody has any questions, exclamation point question in chat, go to the Google Doc, fill it out, let us know, either myself, Bored, or Twerk, or all of us. If you have any questions for the podcast, or about our streams, or about YouTube, or whatever, feel free to get those in there. And they will be filtered and put through for us.
Yeah. One of the things that I was pretty happy to see is they're gonna beef up the shotgun and the sniper rifle in 261 because
More
they're
DPS.
basically they're pretty garbage at the moment. Like, I think the shotgun actually has some use, but it's only when you're really close. And I mean, to be honest, the ballistic rifle probably does more DPS than the shotgun right now.
Without latency, lag, and desync, I actually think the shotgun's fine. They're only beefing them up because they're low kills compared to the assault rifle, which you can kind of pre-fire with. It's much harder to pre-fire with the shotgun.
Yeah, because it's one shot at a time.
There's things about the ballistic rifle which if I didn't have all this car trouble and these issues the last 2 weeks, would have had a video up on. So I'm gonna keep that a little secret for now because I want you guys to actually watch the video.
I think before they start really messing with the numbers on the weapons and the armor and stuff, I really think we need to the network needs to be tackled first before anything else. So people can get an actual real life sense of how these numbers actually feel before we start switching everything around and whatever. I agree. Now, I used to use. You guys know I used to use the shotgun all the time. I loved the shotgun. It was amazing.
I love the shotgun. Yeah.
When I was playing back in Korea, and then as soon as 2.6 came out, it's useless to me. So I get why they want to do it, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, that may be because it may still need it, but it doesn't feel as powerful because of that latency issue, because you can't pre-fire with it, because you can't just unload into somebody. So
I think a lot of it is that the arms too are eating up.
Yeah, like the arms are eating a lot of bullets.
Not because the pellets or whatever that are in.
Yeah.
So and then the sniper is just the charge is silly,
Yeah.
I mean,
it's silly in a such a tight situation. And then
you can
is there
run
any
around with it like an actual rifle and just go headshot at point blank with that
sniper rifle?
Yeah.
Have you tried it?
Yeah.
Can you? Okay, because I haven't tried it. I assume that and in all the other tests that I've used,
you've had to charge it up for it to do any damage.
One round is a normal laser round, so you have to charge it to use it. But I guess you could charge it, and I guess you charge it because you could see everybody on the radar. Yeah.
Yeah, you just charge, run around the corner, boom.
Yeah.
And they're just dead, and it seems to trump lag as well. It's that you hit them, you just run past them, and they die like a second later. Like, ha!
Got you again, bitch. Yeah, so that's interesting. They're obviously going to be continuing to do map balance, which is
and this is more for Last
not much
Stand.
We can comment on now.
Yeah, obviously elimination. It doesn't really matter as much until they introduce team elimination.
They're going to tweak the spawn a little bit of elimination so that people don't spawn next to each other so quickly.
Yeah.
Someone spawn and then immediately die because you've spawned with someone behind you. That's just like, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, that's kind of annoying. Another one is SCM speeds are going to be worked on more ships. I think that's been a lot of the AC, and I know I've said it about the larger ships that I want to see them go a little bit faster in SCM and even in cruise. So they're going to mess with those a little bit. I think they want a wider net, because I think they have so many ships that I think a lot of ships are starting to fly similar speeds. So
Right.
it still doesn't feel right. So they have to spread it out a little bit more. So we'll probably see the M50 350R going faster, the Herald going a bit faster in SCM, and then those other ships will fall more in line where they probably should be against those.
Yeah, specifically for their roles, they want
Exactly.
a slightly better spectrum, which makes sense.
And like, we're only kind of halfway through all the updates for 261. This is not a small patch, like
Yeah.
it's a quality of life patch, but they're putting a lot of stuff into that, which is it's nice to see. And it's been done relatively quickly. A lot of it's like number stuff, but they've listened to us, they've watched us, they've watched the YouTube videos, they've looked, read the Reddit threads, and I'm
Yeah,
quite
I mean, we see them in in my Twitch channel and other people's Twitch channels as well, and I'm sure they're checking out YouTube videos and stuff as well. So
for sure, yeah. That hasn't changed, that they've always been really good at, but it's always nice to point out. They want fuel to be more expendable and something that we would have to manage.
Right, and this
makes
sort
sense.
of ties into the SAM speeds, right? So
Yeah.
they want to have right now everything feels very homogeneous, right? So all the ships sort of feel about the same speed and whatever, even though you have something like an Aurora or a Constellation and an M50 and a 350R. There's not enough. It doesn't feel like it's diverse enough right now, and I think that adding in the different SCM speeds, but also adding in all this new fuel stuff, and having different amounts of fuel for different ships, right? So some ships that have more fuel because they need to use boost more often, or having ships that rely on it less, and things like that, I think is going to make the game just more interesting. Having the ships feel different and more interesting in general.
Yeah, and we'll talk a bit more about this later, but if you look at all the changes that they're making, it's and it reminds me, I actually forgot to put something in the doc. But they're really balancing for a game, right? They're really starting to look at things in the sense of, okay, we have a game like Squadron 42 coming. We have 3.0. You could tell that they're very focused on making it a game again or making it a game period, instead of going, we're still testing, how we want the ships to fly. I think they have a lot of that figured out, and now it's more of we want to make sure that the game is fun, right? Or the game is a game. And
2016 is the year that they have to do a lot. They have to.
2017, bro. 2017.
2016 was the year that we hoped that they did a lot.
Yeah.
This year, 2017. I'm living in the past, man.
Yeah,
this year is the year that they have to really silence people. They have to bring out all the stuff they're going to bring out. They have to drop back Squadron 42 and 3.0, and stuff has to be done correctly. They have to have a game. They have to have those game mechanics and show what the game is, what they promised.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
They have to move towards that now.
For sure. Ship weapons won't break as easily.
Won't melt off the ships.
Thank goodness. I mean, if you've tried playing Vandal Swarm, playing Pirate Swarm, playing anything,
at the PU,
a few shots, and it feels like a lot of your weapons are just done. And you're
They
like,
just
what the hell? I have
melt
to
off.
repair again.
A lot of the issues was with the mounts as well. I mean, it was the weapon health and the mount health.
Yeah, the mount would break, and that would
fall off. Yeah,
the weapon would fall off. So that's nuts.
You gotta be beefing those up a little bit.
Now, this next thing, I think we could talk a bit about. I think this can spark some conversation. I wonder what you guys think about this, because this interested me a lot. They're going to change the muzzle velocity on ship weapons to get closer to each other.
Yes.
And
so people can start experimenting with other weapon combinations, which I think which we've talked about before, which I think you should have something that's more effective against shields, more effective against hulls, but not both, and then so you can start mixing. Yeah, and they can figure that out later. But be able to mix and match those kind of weapons together without having to worry that my lag pips are 6 inches apart on the screen.
Exactly. So now getting them closer together makes a whole lot of sense. So you can have, I don't know, neutron cannons with some repeaters, right?
Yeah.
Which I mean, who wouldn't want a combination like that? You take down the shields with the repeaters, maybe if that's what they decide, and then you go to
Go
neutron
ham
gun.
with the neutrons.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you go total ham.
Like, yeah, you take their shields down from a distance, you get up close and use the neutrons. Like something like that, it just makes sense, then why hasn't it been thought about until now? I've been crying for it for a while, so I'm happy with it, but at the same time I feel like it's going to make weapons feel similar maybe, but again, like you said, nothing really matters until we have armor. Until we have weapons that do more damage to shields versus armor, and then we can all kind of do that stuff. So, am I saying a lot?
Yeah.
I think I
and
got
then,
it. I think I got the bug.
you got the TZ bug. And then the Super Hornet update is they're just bringing the Super Hornet in line with the rest of the newer ships. So with the new damage states, textures, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so hopefully it brings, if you've flown the regular Hornet versus the Super Hornet, I just hope we have the I'm trying not to say now. Fuck.
Now it's in his head.
The TVs that are there, like where you can see all your, I forgot what it's called, the combat, whatever they're called, the things that we look at and you see all your information on.
The
it's
HUD.
Much better. Yeah, it's not your HUD because your HUD's in your helmet, right?
UI?
Well, your UI
like
and
UI
HUD is
thing,
still
the
on
visual...
There's still the ship HUD though.
Yeah, little screens. Yeah, I guess it's part of your ship HUD.
Yeah, it's a heads-up display. That's all it is. But yeah, because right now on the Super Hornet, it's garbage. It's terrible. They had to move it back up because when it was on the screens, you can't read it. It's too small. No. And there's a few ships that suffer from that, and I hope that they are able to go back and fix those things properly.
If you look at the Gladius, you know that it's something that's on their mind. The MFD, thank you.
MFD, that's the one.
Yeah, multifunction displays. That's what they're called in the game. And if you look at the Gladius, they've outdone themselves. It's fucking fantastic. And if they bring that type of HUD and multifunction display and everything, it's great. I think they they did a really great job with that chip.
You haven't read here this thing, and I added a thing to the end of that. Is that, or is that? I just so I know.
That's on the schedule.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, we're not supposed to read out loud what's in red, but on the schedule report it says that they're hoping for the 6th of February for the PTU release. Okay. So there's not going to be an Evocati release to this. It doesn't look like, and then
just straight
to PTU, which makes sense. As 261, it's nothing groundbreaking that they need to test to make sure, and then a live release hopefully on the 16th. So that's, we know what's, I just said, fuck man, we know what's going to happen. We know what's going to happen. It's probably going to get delayed a little bit, but for the first week, this is what they're planning of. IDD is counting it.
That makes sense.
And then moving on, they talked about 2.6.2. I understand a little bit more after watching a few more things this week about the mega map. But I don't think we were expecting a 2.6.2. So
the mega map, for those of you that don't know, is basically the entirety of all of Star Citizen's assets and everything being loaded into one giant instance to be able to be quick loaded from that into other things. So, for example, when you're loading into the persistent universe or going into Arena Commander or going into Star Marine, you're not going to get any load screens. That's what that is.
So for me, the mega map is actually a very small streaming box. This allows them, it's like a tiny thing that allows them to stream all the stuff.
Physically, it doesn't matter how big or small it is, but it's what has everything.
That's what she said.
It's what has everything in it. It's what is going to be getting rid of the loading screens. Essentially, you'll load once into the game. When you come in through the main menu, that's when you'll have the loading screen. You won't have the loading screen loading into your hangar or Arena Commander or Star Marine or the Persistent Universe or going in between those things. Or even, now, if you go into Arena Commander and then try to go in the persistent universe, sometimes it doesn't work, or sometimes you have to restart your client and things like that. It's going to fix those issues. And then hopefully,
but
fingers
it's going to
crossed.
stream in the maps, basically.
The maps and the assets and everything.
Yeah. So instead of seeing a loading screen, we should seamlessly quickly going in.
Yeah.
To those things. So.
You should instantaneously, as soon as you hit ready and it says finding a server and it goes 4, 3, 2, 1, you should be in right away without a loading screen.
Yeah, and the thing is, the one thing that I get from it, and it goes back to what I said before, is we're starting to see the back end stuff come to life that is going to make the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the start of.
This is the meat and potatoes.
This is the start of, moving from one area to another area. That's,
right now it's all
start
segmented.
Of everything. The mega map is the beginning of the giant universe, right?
Yeah.
Them being able to stream in things.
Do you think the first iteration of the mega map is going to entirely eliminate all loading?
No.
Not the first iteration, but that's what the goal is.
It's going to make it shorter.
That's the intention. Yeah,
that's the intention.
But
it might.
What it does.
Really? Do you think it's going to be?
It might.
Loading done?
I think what it does is it enables the PU to potentially be a reality.
It's not going to get rid of all loading. What it's going to do is it's going to make it so you only have to load once.
Yeah.
That's what I think it's going to do. So when you load into the game, even before you can choose anything out of the menu, I think you're going to see the loading screen before you see the main menu. And that's when everything gets loaded in. That's my understanding of the mega map.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's definitely going to reduce loading times. It's going to make it much quicker to jump between sessions and get into new games. That's what we know for definite for the first iteration.
And then the big thing with 262, aside from the mega map, is one of the stretch goals was to be opening up servers across the world. And they're going to be doing that with AWS. And so from what I understand, they're going to be opening it up to all the AWS servers instead of just the one that they are on now.
Or maybe a number of them. I don't know if it's all. Did they say all?
I mean, I don't see why they...
Pick out
I still don't understand why they wouldn't do all.
Money, that's why. It costs money.
It doesn't cost any more money. No, it doesn't. Okay,
How
so
can it not cost
because because it's scalable.
Scalable
It's scalable to players. It doesn't matter if you have 30,000 people connecting to one server or 30,000 people connecting to 10,000 servers. The amount of traffic is still the same.
That more people would play if they did this.
Good.
More
That's what
money.
they want.
Kids.
Good.
Yeah, I get it. But I mean, the reasoning
and the fact it was a stretch goal.
Doing it before, I get it. The reason they were not doing it before, and they told us this when we went to Austin, was money. It is not worth the money to open up the servers for
But now they've got AWS. AWS allows them to have scalable to players.
Yeah, not only is it
scalable,
as far as I understand, it doesn't matter what server it's coming from. It's the amount of players that are playing it. That is how they determine their cost. So it doesn't matter if you're using all of the servers or one of them. And they probably have their own special deal as well, for sure. So, yeah. Moving forward, ATV.
Yeah. Citizens of the Stars is our Monday replacement.
So yeah. So what is this? Is this where they? Is this their?
This is the first I've heard of this.
Schedule of what's happening in the week.
Nope.
No, I think this is them saying our community is awesome, and we want to highlight people from our community. So instead of maybe looking, my guess would be, so with the weekly update or the community manager's log thing that they're doing now, they're
This Week in Star Citizen.
This Week in Star Citizen, they're highlighting community things, right? So I think this week was screenshots. So I think maybe it's going deeper into that, or on one. I don't think it's just community content creators. I think it's going to be maybe like a bar citizen or something like that. Like maybe say Tyler goes to a bar citizen like he did in Orlando. Maybe there would be, something from there. I don't really have any idea of what it could be. What I would like to say is I'm slightly bummed that we lost a 10 for the chairman and are
Yeah.
getting Wonderful World of Star Citizen Part 2.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, so it sort of feels like they're
awesome.
relying a little bit
Yeah.
more on the community to make their content. So, like
No,
you, well,
not
no,
necessarily.
because if you look on what they're doing with Fridays now, right, replacing RTV with this new thing where they bring in a streamer or a YouTuber or whatever they're doing, and then now they have this where they're going to be focusing on community members more and doing that stuff. You don't feel that it's going in that direction? That they're making less of their own content and sort of highlighting other people's stuff?
For me, with the
I look at it
the hour
completely
happy
different.
hour show,
Mhm.
I still get the same amount of information as if they were doing RTV.
I think we get more.
Well, it's
I think it's more
around
focused.
it's around
Yeah.
the same for me. Like literally looking at empirical amounts of news
Yeah.
that I add to my news show. I look at happy hour and get about the same amount as I would from an RTV.
Yeah.
Plus, they also highlight a streamer. So for me, it's kind of a win.
It's win-win.
Yeah.
I think it's
So,
great. If
I-
they
I
can
thi-
keep it up, it's great.
Yeah. But
The problem
Citizen
is
of
getting
the Stars.
is
We
getting
haven't seen it yet.
yeah, we haven't seen Citizen of the Stars, and we said the same thing
Yep.
about Happy
Yep.
Hour. It's like, let's wait and see it. And I think they did a great job with
100%.
Happy Hour. My only gripe about Happy Hour is it seems like the guests are only in LA. They need to figure out a way for Tyler to have guests as well, and for guests from other countries
Oh, yeah,
to come
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it will not work.
England guys, come on.
Yeah, England guys need to come on, and German guys need to come on. Otherwise, in my opinion, it's gonna crash and burn after a little while. And I'm assuming that these guys know that, and they're gonna do it. It's easier to do it in LA. Whatever. So hopefully it works. So far I love it. I have no complaints of it at all.
Mhm.
I just don't know how long they can keep it going. The community thing, I look at it completely different than you, Soros, as in I don't think they're using us to make their content. I think they realize how important and how important our community is, and highlighting it to show the difference between this community from every other cancerous, shitty game community is a good thing. So I think it's a positive thing for them, and I don't think they're necessarily using us
Right.
to make
so
their content.
my
I think
only-
they're saying, "Wow, Soros, your stream is really good. Wow, Bored, your YouTube videos are really good.
Woo!
Wow, dude, that makes 3D printed models. Like, that's awesome. You
Mhm.
deserve some props." And like, I don't think it's right for us when we've been crying for this stuff for years now that they're finally doing it, and then we're
Right.
saying, "Oh, you know," and looking at
I
it
just
negative.
don't know. I'm looking at the sustainability overall of it, and I just
I don't
don't
think it's
see it.
sustainable.
I don't think
No.
it's sustainable, and that's the only. I'm not upset that they're reaching out to the community. That's awesome. I enjoy that. That's great. I just don't see how sustainable it is with the 20 streamers, the 10 YouTubers that we have. Like it. And yeah, there are other people who do 3D printing and make music and do all this other stuff as well. But like I said, I don't think we're at that point where it's sustainable for a weekly show.
We'll see how they do
But
it.
we'll have to wait and
see how
see.
they do it.
We'll
Yeah,
have to wait
it's
and
just
see.
Nah, there's fucking loads of content creators out there now. There's a surprising amount.
yeah. Like I don't. There's so many people now. I don't even know half of them. I don't think.
I mean, I try and keep up with as many content creators as I can because I like bouncing ideas off new people as well and stuff like that. And that's not for you vampiring, although this
It
be
is. I look through Twitch and YouTube and I'm like, oh, like I recognize names from the chat and I'm like, you stream? I didn't even know,
Yeah.
because they're just different times from when I usually watch Twitch, and I just happen to
For
browse
me,
Star Citizen directory. I'm like, oh shit.
It's important for CIG to try to foster these relationships and encourage people to stream their game and get into their game at the moment, as many as possible, to be honest. And really, as content creators ourselves, for us to kind of do the same. I mean, we
Mhm.
want people creating content. We want more people to bounce ideas off for collaboration, for getting better content out there. Because, yeah, there's going to be a reasonable amount of turds, because I have that with my own videos even. You make crappy content, you make good content. the more people out there, the more gems of videos will also be out there, like genuinely great videos. Comes with practice and time and a little bit of luck.
Nice finger guns. I like it.
Thanks, mate. Are we talking about what's going on? Oh shit, we're on the podcast.
The next thing that they talked about on ATV, this was for me was the highlight of ATV.
Yes.
Was the clothing, suits, and character face polish.
Oh, the faces. We
The
saw
faces looked amazing, and the explorer suit.
Yeah. So
We've seen it. It's cool, but it's cool to see that they're working.
It's cool to see them working on it and it in more detail and everything as well.
Yeah.
And the faces and the new hair and everything looked amazing.
Finally good hair, right?
Yeah.
Like that was the first thing I noticed. I was like, holy shit, their hair looks so good. And like I must have scrolled back and watched it like 3 or 4 times, and just seeing hair looking normal.
And different faces and everything.
Yeah, different faces from what we're used to seeing. A few of them I've recognized, but the woman in the beginning don't recognize. The guy at the end I didn't recognize.
That's great.
But they look
woman,
so
I had a double take.
good.
I was like, "Is this Star Citizen?" I
Yeah.
can't stand.
It comes down to like, remember when they first showed us these things, and certain people were comparing them to what was it, Call of Duty, Black Desert, Call of Duty, and Call of Duty the cutscenes. Like this crushes it now. You know, and and what tier? We don't even know what tier face that is.
So the problem with Call of Duty is that some of the cutscenes were super polished, but they streamed the cutscene and then went immediately into gameplay, and the MOD went plastic face.
Yeah,
just straight from normal face to plastic face.
So bad with that. That was probably the worst part of Call of Duty.
It was weird.
Yeah, it felt weird. It didn't look right.
Let's get this for screenshots, but it's going to be shit in game. Lol, lol, lol.
Where Chris and CIG are I think it's going to be much more seamless through those. So with that, now that they've made an explorer suit, it seems like they want to make other suits as well, right? What kind of suits? Now these are probably going to be all non-combat related, right? Because we kind of have the combat stuff now. But what sort of non-combat related suits do you think they're going to have? Like for this explorer suit, there's like a little camera, right? There's probably going to be a miner suit or a salvage suit. But what do we think is going to be on those? What kind of little trinkets and things do you think are going to be on those suits?
There's definitely going to be ones that are just generally for utility, literally having more belt slots, more power slots, ones for larger EVA rigs. But you're also going to get ones that are very significantly powered towards environmental hazards. So you're going to have ones that are good against radiation or cold or heat.
Yeah, like on they talked about on the first happy hour, right?
Yeah, exactly that. But I mean, I think that we're going to see the item system 2.0 coming in and container systems. Now, I know the container system mainly talks about really larger entities and streaming in, but item system 2.0 is going to allow us to have all of these different areas. Everything's going to be treated as like a component. So we're going to have like holsters, belts, camera slot, all these different things and all these different EVA functions. And these suits, some of them might be more geared towards them, but you've got to think of them like spaceships, like hulls of a spaceship. You're literally getting into a mini hull.
Yeah.
It's
pretty cool. Like I'm just imagining for... Like they always told us that we were going to be able to do smaller scale first person type salvage, mining, healing. Like now we could talk about medical suits with scanners that can see more, give you more detail on what's damaged and exactly. And you just mix and match. I think it's going to be pretty neat. So just seeing that gives you it starts bringing you back to the old, for me at least, the old days of Star Citizen, where you can start imagining a bit more again. That kind of stuff.
And just getting more information on a lot of the different smaller meta things, right? And being able to go more deeper into those kind of things is what you're going to see for those suits and more specialized things where you need to, you're in tight spaces, so you can only use like something that's smaller
and
or whatever, or
and that's what should separate Star Citizen from a lot of the other space sims is the smaller little meta things, right? That they're doing is the amount of detail that they put into every little thing, and you can kind of see that starting to happen. I think that's like more. That was really the kind of the theme of this week is you're starting to see the little things start to come together and become a larger whole, right?
yeah.
Which is pretty exciting. And then we had a quick update on the Drake Buccaneer, which is now in gray box. So as far as next flyable ships that are supposed to be coming up, it's the Aquila, the Dragonfly, right, for 3.0.
Yep.
Do we think we might get something like the Buccaneer in a 261, 262? Maybe not 261, but in a 262 later
Possibly.
on.
Possibly.
Maybe
depending
263
on
patch, right?
Yeah, depending on how many 2.6 patches
How
we
many
get.
2.6s we get, exactly.
Depending on how well it works the first time.
Yeah.
Is depending on how many 2.6 patches we get. But yeah, it's something that I think is getting closer and closer to being ready. I think things like the Dragonfly, it's ready. I think Dragonfly, they're just waiting.
Dragonfly's ready
Same with
for
the
sure.
Aquila, that they're just waiting for those ships
I don't
for
think
3.0.
we're not going to see the Buccaneer, in my opinion, before we see the Azarova, Dragonfly, and Aquila, because
Okay, and Matt Sherman just said, don't expect it as an incremental addition. I think we always hear that things are in gray box or see them and they look like they're kind of done, and then we expect. I think we misjudge the amount of time it takes to make them.
as soon as we have Delta patching, we will, as a community, start to expect ships as incremental patches.
We'll
Yes.
expect a lot of things coming as incremental
Yeah.
patches. Equipment,
Hotfixes, everything like
clothing,
Yes.
different weapon types, all that stuff.
Yeah, and then he just mentioned Buccaneer or Cutlass are more going to be solid number patch content. So like a 3.0, 3.1, 3.2.
Yeah, that makes
it
sense.
sounds
Makes
like
Makes sense,
that
but
stuff will
yeah,
come in
I was
3.
curious, just because it seems like it's moving along nicely, and I'm still under the assumption that we're far away from stuff. So,
But we still might see 2.6.5.
whatever they think.
there's
I
interim
mean,
patches, so.
they still, what's his name? Todd Pepe still said 2.7, so maybe that's what that means. It's a thing that'll come in 2.7
It makes sense that
to
for
do it
major,
2.7.
and to do a 3.4 as well, stuff like that, where there's giant content drops in patches they've said in the future, like these are huge content drops with multiple jump points and stuff like that. Well, yeah, that's great, and I understand that's the major plan after that, and the next major patch after 2.6 is 3.0 with this huge amount of gameplay. But it makes sense that maybe some of that gameplay would go into a pre-patch.
It makes more. I just want to know what's going on with the Delta Patcher, man. Right?
Yeah.
Because then it's like it's not so much about these big content drops. It's more of like, okay, we can do a weekly Tuesday drop or something.
They talked about it this week. They finally talked about it this week. Now they didn't give us any super
indication
detail on
of what they're
of how far along they are, but they did tell us that it came down to priorities, and the DevOps team in Austin is relatively small, and it came down to now I'm making an assumption here is it came down to certain fixes for 2.6 and stuff like that, and just getting those AWS servers online and all that stuff. So I'm sure that this is what Sean Tracy said, and I don't think Sean Tracy necessarily works on this 100%, so I don't know how super informed he was, but he was talking about it and saying it, with that, we really want that, but it came down to priorities. So that was kind of interesting to see, or hear, I should say, that they finally mentioned it and people were talking about it, and they really want it. It's just it has to finish. So, but I am a little bummed that it didn't show up in It was a 2.6.1 update, right? So we know we won't have it for 2.6.1. So I guess it kind of showed up in the update by not showing up.
right.
That we know it's not ready for 2.6.1.
It's not there,
the update
but not showing up.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's our new updates. If it's not in there, that's how you know it's not in there.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh my fuck! I've got a whole new series of videos. What's not in the patch?
Frilly white dresses, frilly red dresses, frilly blue dresses.
Fuck you guys.
CIG have confirmed for 2.6.2 there are no frilly white dresses by not putting it in the schedule report. My God, this is going to be such a news-filled fucking weekend. Come on, Twig, you've got to move.
I'm turning off my webcam. I'm done. Done.
That's
I'm
just
out.
hand in front of it.
So they mentioned Radar 2.0, and I put this in because I wanted to make sure that we point this out. It's not anything big. Oh, you took me off. Nice. I see that. I see you. It's nothing big. It's tiny. It's small.
It's just to make use of the item system 2.0 and a couple of other probably bug fixes. That's what I'm assuming.
Exactly. So I think when people hear like with items 2.0, Star Citizen 2.0, anytime there's been a 2.0 thing, it's usually like a big change. This, they made sure they mentioned it, but I just want to make sure that's very clear. This is not a big giant overhaul of the radar system. It very much sounded like it was just like you said, Board, working with items 2.0, and they'll tweak it a little bit, but it's not. I don't think they're changing from the current style,
some minor adjustments and things
and
like
the
that.
current way it works as of right now. So, yeah, I wanted to make sure we pointed that out because I would assume that some people in the community are like, "Oh, Radar's 2.0, great! I hate the way the radar works now, so they're going to change it completely. Can't wait till they do that." Well, if you hate the way the radar works now, you're probably going to hate it the way it works in 2.6.1 as well.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't sound like it's changing too much. Pirate Swarm. So that was the big feature on this one. For me, they're still talking a bit about things in the past, which, like I said earlier, we talked about that, we knew that this was going to kind of happen this week because they're still doing the schedule kind of early in the year stuff. But they did talk quite a bit about the future of Pirate Swarm and why it's so important as well. So what did you guys think about this update? Did you enjoy it? What did you think? Any thoughts?
I mean, I liked the fact they talked a little bit about, like, we wanted an annoying ship, the M50. We wanted a sniper ship, the 350R. But what I really enjoyed was them talking about making Pirate Swarm harder by giving the aces big weapons.
Yes.
It's actually what I want to see. I want to see them have different weapon loadouts, and I go,
feels
fuck me,
nice.
I need to kill them quick.
The more variety, even though like it is harder than Vandal Swarm currently. I like that, and I also like that it's just more variety for everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice, exactly nice not having an easy time with Pirate Swarm, and seeing like the skins up close. Like you see the skins up close now when you're playing because of the new SCM mode, but we got to see them really up close. There is some sexy detail on those red and black skins. I think that when we saw them originally on the holiday live stream, anniversary live stream, when we saw the different skins they went through, we saw a red and black skin, which were like, that is bigger than the rest of them. That's for something. And it was for Pirate Swarm. And the skins they've used, it's pretty awesome. I'm hoping that they improve the AI very slightly for the next patch, because we've got the derpy barrel rolls as the only tactic they do. Really. I mean, they don't really mob you properly. I mean, they can do. But,
Now, that's what I was going to mention. They spoke about them as if this is how they act now. Right?
Yeah.
And it may be because that's how they act on their dev builds. And anytime Luke Presley's on ATV, he always shows up in my stream to watch himself or something, or to see how we react and to his segment, right? So we got into a nice conversation with him about this. And I said, Luke, this is all great and fine, but none of these guys act like this now. And then people in the chat started mentioning, if you guys have played, anyone who's played Pirate Swarm, the corkscrew, right?
Yes.
They just go into this corkscrew,
corkscrew,
and it's boring, and you just kill them, and for the ships that have more armor, it just takes a little longer, and that's it.
What's more annoying is when you're slightly off when they're in the corkscrew.
Yes.
Yeah.
Constantly miss them.
You're just like hitting them with your smallest size 1 weapons.
Oh man, yeah, clipping them with.
And I got into game, and right away I went to see because they mentioned the Auroras are like bulldoggy, they get right in your face, right? And I got behind them, and they didn't engage. I was literally flying behind them for minutes, and they would not engage me. and this was one of the more enjoyable experiences that I've had. This is my only time playing Star Citizen this week. Is we got in and Luke is watching this and going, "What the hell's going on?" And like bug fixing the issues for Pirate Swarm as we're playing it. So he's seeing the way they react, and he's like he's talking through chat like maybe they're not seeing the radar, maybe it's an AI thing, and then he realizes that they go through different modes, and when you're behind them like that, they get into they realize that you're behind them and you're in the advantageous position, and they get into an evasion situation, and that was broken. And that goes along with the corkscrew thing. So he also mentioned that the 350Rs absolutely act as snipers in 261.
Yep.
And a lot of those things are fixed in 261. And then now that he got to see them and they were brought to his attention, he was just like, boom, on the QA team, on the people that are working on it, like saying that these are issues. And it sounded like he was saying this is how they act now, but it was actually how they're going to act in 261, I think. So you're going to get to see those different personalities on the ships in 261. But I could tell you the aces, as soon as they regain shields, they instantly turned around and just went at you hardcore. And the Auroras never did, but that's probably to make things a little easier at the beginning of Pirate Swarm. But the other ships, as you would take their shields down, they would go into that corkscrew. When the shields came back, they would instantly turn and start firing. But the Auroras would only fire if you crossed their cockpit. If they saw you, they would shoot at you. If they did not see you, they did not shoot. It was actually really cool.
That I have with the aces currently is that all it seems to do is they've got more health and they're aggressive.
They're aggressive as shit.
Yeah, but that makes them better because they're aggressive and they might take you out because of that. Now, that's not what I want. I want them to be more skillful. I want them to have AI rather than a series of chess moves that effectively they're playing.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I know that basically is what AI is, but I want it. I want tactics. I want to see clever maneuvers. I want to see them working together, and not just because I'm fighting one, they're all on me. I want them to do clever things.
Like essentially right now, I think with the level of AI that we have, and I don't want to disrespect the people that are working on this type of stuff, but from what I've played, I'm not playing anything that's more high level AI than Wing Commander 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah,
a 1990.
6.
Well, there's only 5.
7.
But
I'm just counting.
They pretty much react to what you do. They're not super smart yet. So I'm really, really looking forward to 261 because they're putting in these personalities, and to see what happens with that should allow us to judge, because this is the big thing they mentioned about Pirate Swarm. Think about it. Pirate Swarm is a mini Squadron 42 mission, or a long Squadron 42 mission, right? You go into a certain area, there's AI that you have to fight and kill, and that'll be some missions. So seeing how that stuff works now, you can kind of judge, like, is Squadron 42 going to be a good game? And right now, you could see Squadron 42 is not ready. But when Pirate Swarm starts getting those crazy personalities and skill, like Boredgamer said, then you can see, like, oh, okay, well, Squadron 42 is probably getting pretty close, because until we have that stuff, it's just little mini chess moves right now,
Yeah.
Like, okay, he shot at me, I'm going to do this.
It's almost
he's behind me.
Entirely reactionary, and
it is, yeah.
It just you can't. Yeah. I want more.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. So I'm really 261 should be an exciting patch because we can start judging where Squadron 42 is at off of some of these game modes that we're currently playing now.
Okay.
Because that's like they mentioned it in ATV. This is where they're figuring this stuff out, right? And then they just put it in. So yeah.
Moving forward on to Happy Hour.
Yeah, happy hour was cool. One of our friends,
Uh,
GHG.
yep. And let me put some things in there for him. Yeah, GHG was on there with Sean Tracy and Lando and Tyler, and all playing together and talking about Star Citizen. Very cool.
Yeah,
If
what
you
you
want
guys?
to post the link for the YouTube in chat as well, if people want to go check
Got
that out.
Yes, if you want to watch it. Oops, I just pasted nothing in there. Give me a
I
second.
mean, so Sean Tracy talks about some pretty cool stuff. What
Yeah,
I what I quite liked was he's talked about tracked vehicles. Just said, yeah, we could put tanks in. We got the tracked vehicles would work. They work now.
Well, yes, he says that, but he says that from a technical standpoint. But then you forget that this is a fucking Chris Roberts game, and no tank or no anything is easy to put in because of the level of detail and the
But what
fidelity that they put
I
into
like is because it's physics-driven vehicles that they
Yeah.
literally go, we can put it in and it will just work, sort of thing.
But then people are going to assume that it's easy. But there's nothing that's easy that goes into this game,
No,
right?
well, yeah, I mean the art assets are one of the hardest things to get right for this because they're so beautiful.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I don't think people think it's easy for anything they do. And we get delays and lots of fucking people
Well,
complaining.
look at what we
It's
just
just
did. Look
not.
what I just did. I saw like, okay, the Buccaneers in gray box. Well, we're probably going to get it really soon. Like, no.
Where is it?
Yeah.
They also talked about polish stuff, so specifically with anti-aliasing. It was like
Yeah.
Star Citizen is going to support all the forms of anti-aliasing you can think of in the future, but it is something they do really close to the polish stage or at polish.
See, how I understood is they'd have to choose from a few, not all.
No, so more, I think more in the short term that they'll have a few that work, but
Okay.
I think his intention there was to say, yeah, we'll have it supporting loads of different types of anti-aliasing in the future.
Do all games support? Do most like AAA games support all of them?
Lots of them, yes.
Okay.
It's just
So that would be to be expected then from CIG.
Yeah, it's something that if you change any of your code or graphics or shaders, that you'd need to then change the anti-aliasing stuff accordingly. So it's something that would continuously get changed if they were doing it and would take up a fuck ton of their time.
Okay.
He did
for
talk about
me,
that as well, didn't he?
He did, and I crossed it out because we kind of touched on what he said. He didn't say much, but for me, I didn't get too much out of this one because, and I said it towards the end of in the doc. A lot of what this episode seemed, and it was a lot of like what we got on the town hall. It seemed a lot of like what Sean Tracy wants, but not necessarily what's happening. Or it's still a lot of stuff that's like being talked about rather than a lot of solid, like information that we can just say that this is what it is.
I don't know. I think that if Sean Tracy had his way, everything would have mechs in it.
Yeah.
Like, he is a lover of Mech Warrior.
Yes, for sure. And I think that's why we have. I bet you he was like, Chris, I'm putting in a mech. And he was like, fine, we'll do like some sort of Titan armor. Okay, Sean, just go to work, get out of my office.
Small little mechs.
Yeah. So I think that's where the Titan armor came from. It's like, we want to keep you on, Sean. We really like your work, so we'll put Titan armor in. But I mean, he talked about female animations, and we've been hearing this for the last couple of weeks. Is they're feminizing animations?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But a lot of the stuff just seemed, I don't know, it just seemed more speculation than reality.
No, I just think that's the way that Sean talks. I think that's the way he
Maybe.
talks. Was it him that talked about the turrets and eye stabilization?
Yes.
So I think we're getting...
That was fact. Yeah, that was not speculation. That's like something that
Yeah.
It should be in 261.
Turrets on tanks, as we know, like in real life, they kind of don't judder around. They are able to keep their turret effectively on a target while they're moving. Now in Star Citizen, we have issues with that in some cases where that if you move your shit quickly, that your
especially pitching you on
vomits.
Yeah.
And you just don't know what you're pointing at. That's going to change to have similar eye stabilization so that we can actually keep targets in view. We're getting better turrets.
Yeah, which is all we really have is combat right now, right? So not being able to do multi-crew combat effectively has been frustrating, right? Like, how much more fun would it be to do an ICC mission if you could do it with your friends?
Yeah, I mean,
And you can,
Yeah.
but it's not that easy. Most of the time, the pilot in the multi-crew ships is getting all the kills.
yeah, he is.
So getting the turrets working will be really, really fun. Yeah, I mentioned that. You just mentioned that. What else do we have here? He mentioned ships versus infantry. Ships versus infantry, and the Titan armor should be that's going to be their solution for that. Is he wants something that can hold a ship weapon, maybe not the biggest ship weapons, but that can hold ship weapons that can deal enough damage to ships from the ground.
We know that we're getting probably rocket launchers and stuff like that as well, but the railgun.
Yeah.
And they're probably putting the railgun into StarMarine, I think they said. They're trying to get that into StarMarine. Yeah, it's going to be cool. I hope it's good. But there is a missing link at the moment in Star Citizen, really, between it's ground-to-air combat. It's because how much damage is that railgun and the rocket launcher really going to do to a ship that can just disengage anytime it fucking wants and come back? I mean, that ships are going to wreck ground targets unless there are turrets, unless there are specific ground-to-air weapons that, like the Titan suits have, unless there are vehicles that have very good ground-to-air weaponry.
Well, that's those proper defenses to
deal
with those things.
Defenses, yes, and other mechanics possibly that come into play, like obviously maybe the weather and maybe environmental hazards will force you not to be able to use ships on planets. Because we saw that freelancer just go, "Oh, you're going to have to come down and help him." No, I'll just shoot him with the freelancer.
Yeah, and at the Gamescom demo,
yeah, this is like, well, I could do that pretty much every fight. Why would I get out of my ship and tell me all the pirates are dead?
Well, we know that they're going to force you out of your ship as well.
But you can't do that every time.
No.
In every situation.
It's the biggest gap.
Yes.
There's nothing in the middle right now.
Yeah. It's you're either in a ship or you're out of a ship. And the ships are more powerful than when you're out of a ship.
Yeah, even the smallest weapons are
turrets.
wrecked.
We need all these different things. Did he talk about water on this one? Was this the one he talked about water on?
I did not hear water on this one. And I just watched it like an hour or two ago.
Recently, I'm not sure if it was here, but it was definitely last week. They talked about water, and they said that there will be boats on water.
Shit, really?
Yeah, there'll be boats on the water. That eventually, they're consider doing underwater world. But in the first iteration, it's there'll be vehicles on water, there'll be boats on the water, and you'll be able to swim.
Yeah.
So no invisible walls. Fucking win.
Yay.
And the last thing that I have before we go to questions, and again, exclamation point questions for you guys to get those in, would be, and make sure you fill out the form. There's a link there, fill it out, and then we'll put your question into a doc and we'll answer it. We talked about this a bit before, is they're figuring out ideas to solve the problem that is you're taking off from Terra. You have a hangar on Terra. There are thousands of people that have hangars on Terra. Where are your hangars located? How do you leave your hangar and not have it just be insane with ships all over the place? And where would your hangar be located? And
well,
all that
remember,
stuff.
we're also talking about the physical size and scale of space. So you're probably not going to see.
But you're on a landing zone. Hangars are most hangars would be in landing zones, obviously.
Right. So I would imagine they would do some sort of like. Something.
He mentioned hand wavium, basically.
Yeah.
They're gonna do some hand wavium stuff.
Some hand wavium stuff, like, oh, maybe it'll be like those Japanese parking lots where it brings it underground and then despawns it, and then when you need it spawns it and brings it up. Or multiple landing zones.
Yeah, but even then, think of a place like Terra. Think of a popular place like maybe Earth or whatever happens to be that busy place where everybody's going to want to be.
That makes sense.
How will that work?
You go into it. You effectively go into an instance with that ship. That ship goes into its own little hangar. You go, close the door. It despawns. It comes out when I respawn it. It goes. Oh, it's come out from the parking lot.
Yeah.
I think that's a very sensible way of handling it.
It's not about going in. That he mentioned though, it was about the coming out of your hangar. So, say for example,
It's always about the pulling out.
The three of us are playing. We all have hangars on Terra, and we all leave at the same time, and we all want to meet up in Terra space somewhere. How would that work? You know, and we can speculate on how it will work, but you know what he mentioned was that they're coming up with ideas. Because my idea would be to have something like, you know, so like I wouldn't have any issues other than the fact that I might want to see Boredgamer right outside my hangar. You know, I think that would be cool, but it doesn't seem like a reality. But what I would expect to see is you leave your hangar and you're probably only seeing NPCs, and you're stuck in that corridor that you have to stay in before you get out of you know, safe space or whatever, where you can kind of fly freely. You're going to be in a corridor by yourself and maybe some NPCs flying around you, but that's really it. I would expect it to be more like that. And like Thale mentioned in chat as well, there's probably going to be limited hangar space per planet as well. And what I would love to see is, I have a hangar on Terra, and I hold on to it for a few years, and then, you know, Terra hangar space becomes very rare and expensive, and then I sell it for, you know, a shit ton of money because I don't spend time in Terra anymore, you know, whatever. So that would be cool too if they did that, but it comes down to we have how much we don't have an Elite Dangerous sized universe. So if the game is as popular as we think it would be, you know, how much of that can you really do? How limited can you have things? I don't know.
What's your counter at?
I don't know, man.
It's pretty high. All right, let's jump into questions. We have a bunch here, so let's try and burn through these as quick as possible. The first one's from Ethan101. What other things we'll be able to do with stuff we mine other than sell it or trade it?
If they do what I hope they do, we would, and I don't know if we're going to get it at release, but it was one of the first fucking things they talked about forever ago was a factory node. You owning your own factory node, you take the ore, you bring it there, you refine it, you can add to the factory node so it can make new things, and you have to keep the people that work at the factory happy with, you know, other nodes that connect to it and shit like that, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I think the economy is going to be... I think the economy from release will be very similar to that. Maybe not us doing that.
Yeah.
But the God AI doing that, where literally our deposits of iron ore will go into a factory node, just not one that we control at all. Sort of like it's assumed to go in there. I do think the economy is still going to be built like that. They have talked about more recently about modular bases and stuff. About building them up and about literally going, you will be able to build bases, you will be able to have modules and stuff that you build, and you'll be able to build storage and labs and stuff like that in the future. That was from the Dan Truffin interview, though.
Yes. But always at a small scale.
Starting at a small scale.
Yeah. But starting, I think, is going to be for, you know, we're talking years, possibly. Yeah.
It might be, but it might not be. I don't know. I mean, my thing that I do is generate random amounts of hype based on how interested I am in all mechanics.
And then I do the opposite and try and keep everything down and as calm and don't get excited because we get excited and then we get disappointed. And I don't want to get disappointed. I want to get happy.
That when people that watch me get excited about the mechanics I talk about, CIG get in trouble for not doing what I was hyped about and then have to do it. That's hold them hostage with hype.
Okay, I'm going to have to interject here, and we got to move on to other questions. That was the first question. All right, the next one is from Hellstem. With the anticipation of more servers coming online to address latency issues, I'm curious of how much of an improvement this will yield. So I was wondering what kind of pings you guys get, being from England, Canada, and the United States. I get on average on 320, but he's in Australia, so not unexpected.
But I thought you meant you did.
No,
what?
No. I get about 110 to 130.
170 for me.
Yeah.
50.
Fuck you.
Must be nice. So normal in other games, I normally get around 30 or 40, up to 60, depending on where the game servers are.
The only servers in Virginia, and I'm you know, a 8-hour or 18-hour train ride from Virginia, maybe a 12-hour drive, something like that.
40, 30 ping, fucking.
I know, must be nice, right? If you, yeah, guys, let us know in chat what your ping is.
I just saw
Hey,
3-4.
C Dizzle says, "Hey, Twerkosaurus Gamer UK, how hard is it for you guys to try and stream when your main focus game is in such a stagnant period? Is it frustrating, or do you all enjoy branching out and testing new games for your audience?"
I guess I'll start. I've
Yeah.
been extremely frustrated. I've talked about it with the chat. I want to continue to grow, and it's Star Citizen is in a state where streaming Star Citizen for how long, and I think this applies for me and you, Source, more than Board, because Board's still kind of a baby as far as Twitch goes, right? He's still, I'm sure he's still finding people that haven't seen his stream yet and are watching it. At my time slot in the morning, I might get 1 or 2 followers a day playing Star Citizen, because pretty much everyone that's interested in seeing Star Citizen has, at that time slot, has seen me stream it, right, at some point, and have followed and have decided whether or not they're going to stay and watch the channel. Is
There's no
branching
real
out
new
enjoyable?
content to
Yes.
bring people in. Obviously,
Is branching out enjoyable? Absolutely. Is it going to grow my channel? Absolutely not. Not with the games I've been branching out to, but I'm enjoying it, so that's what matters.
Yeah, so for myself, yeah, it hurts a little bit because this is my problem. Is I really want to play it. I really find it enjoyable, but there are some aspects of the game that just over time I just can't handle it anymore. You know, the latency
just done
thing.
everything.
Yeah, it's like I've done everything, and so it's like I want to be able to just go in and mindlessly play Star Marine over and over again, and I can do that up until a certain extent. That being said, there are a lot of things that I am doing to branch out to other games and other new games. It's you know, something I'm working with other streamers for dual streams. I'm getting into newer releases, and I'm going to be doing that more often moving forward. Just in general moving forward. So I think that will obviously branch out the audience and get more in there and sort of get in. I was watching the reason I'm doing this is I was watching a YouTube video of why games are starting to feel not as fun anymore, and one of the things, well, that's part of it. That's part of it. But another part of it is because you sort of stick to the same things of what you did enjoy before, and it's hard for other games to live up to that. And then what's happening is you don't really try a lot of new things anymore. And even though there's genres that you may not like, whether it be strategy games or whether it be card games or whatever, there still may be games out there that are in those things that you are really enjoyable and that that people are finding really enjoyable. So that's what I'm gonna sort of do. Is I'm just gonna people are like, I thought you didn't play single player games. I've been playing Resident Evil, and I've been liking Resident Evil for the most part. I give it an 8 out of 10. And so it's being able to branch out into those things. I think it's gonna just be better overall for a lot of things.
Yeah, one of the best streams I've had ever was Maze, the stupid fucking corn game with in a cornfield.
Rip Maze.
It was amazing. It was such a fun game, and it
pun intended or no pun intended?
Something different. Huh?
Was there a pun intended on that or no pun intended?
What did I say?
Amazing.
Oh, there was no pun intended. I didn't even realize I said it. Half the things I don't realize I say, I just say them.
Yeah.
It was a good game though. It was surprisingly
a great
good.
game. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
But
it was stupid, but it was fun. It was completely different from what I've ever played, and it was a great time.
But I mean, so for me, Star Citizen I can make content on because I can look at mechanics and I can look at very specific odd things. I don't stream. I don't have the same issues that Twerk and Saurus have because I stream very limited amounts of Star Citizen when I actually stream. But I get to stream like Resident Evil and stuff, don't I?
Yeah.
And it's just it's still novel for me. Streaming's novel for me. Star Citizen content I can make for days, and have been, fortunately.
Yeah.
So it's not so much of an issue for me.
Yeah.
Our next question comes from Anonymous. Would you say Star Marine was a letdown?
No.
Not at
all.
He says, I feel like everyone was expecting 1 million more players, and it just fell flat on its face.
No, I don't think it's a letdown at all.
I don't agree with that either. I think
Yeah.
that it would have been nicer for them to have the latency and everything and to get a fully polished, perfect game, because they did work on it for a long time. But the network is just so much deeper than that. So it's not that I wasn't expecting it. I was definitely expecting it not to be perfect. I think I was impressed more than anything on how well it
That
feels
was the smoothest
good.
release of any release we've ever had.
It feels good.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
That was the best patch
It doesn't
we've ever
necessarily
had.
play the greatest right now, but it feels good and it feels solid. Like when you're like the character movement and everything is like the hardest part, I think, and it feels really good. And if you go over to something else, it can just feel really like janky and cheap and hollow.
With every other part of Star Citizen, you know that it kind of needs a complete overhaul.
Mm-hmm.
And with Star, like like we knew the ships needed a complete overhaul. We knew that the damage. We knew the PU was going to look completely different. We knew Arena Commander was needed a complete overhaul. And with Star Marine, you just know that it needs some tweaks. Add a game mode here, which shouldn't be that much effort. A little bit of balance to the map. Tweak the weapons. Well, yeah, but those are tweaks. That's not gameplay overhauls. Where we've been through so many of those with AC already, and we know the PU just is empty. Really, So with that, you kind of know that a fun, enjoyable, and somewhat complete game really isn't that far off. So I think it's far from a disappointment for me.
Yeah, I would say in general it's
really
far
happy.
from a disappointment.
Yeah. It's definitely a step towards having a fully polished standalone game mode. It's getting there. It's definitely getting there.
For all the fuckers counting it,
Ed Chris says, "Greetings, guys. What are your thoughts on systems that can be put in place to encourage players to not be constantly running around in public areas? I get that players just sometimes need to get business done quickly, going from A to B. It can be seen all the time in our corp, for example. That said, it is such an immersion killer to see potentially hundreds of avatars running around without missing a beat. What do you think can be done? Nothing. I don't think you're going to see... People are going to run around because it's the most effective, period. The only reason people don't do that in real life is social reasons. But in video games, that's not there. And number two, you also have to remember that 90%, and what they're aiming for is 90% of the characters that you're going to be seeing are going to be AI. So while even if you had 100% of all players running around like crazy, which isn't going to happen, I think you're going to see a lot of players just standing around doing nothing as well. If any other MMO has anything to say about it, you see a lot of hanging out in those major cities. But for the majority, you're going to see just AI, and they're going to be walking around and doing their thing, and then you'll see the random person that's running around, and that'll be like the players or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's anything to be done. I don't know about you guys.
I mean, you could have don't run in the corridors, and you get charged credits if the security gets you running.
Welcome to the police state.
yeah, it's like no running here, or stuff like that. But no, it's people will run around.
Yeah.
I mean, you can limit that by having kiosks and having like desire lines to stuff, and having faster modes of transport with like escalators and things where people would be running around less, hopefully. But people are going to be running around like loons. It's an MMO. Deal with it.
Yeah, they just need to add stamina. I don't know why it's not in yet.
Stamina would help a lot, because then you'll want to
stamina based on armor.
Yeah, you'll
light armor.
So you won't want to run.
Less stamina.
Slow. But as Saurus said, I mean, the reason that people don't do that IRL is because they lack motivation.
It's a motivation and a social thing. That's all.
Yeah.
It's social thing. It's more efficient, right, to run. I mean, I'll be honest. If I'm going somewhere and I know nobody's watching, I'll run there. I don't care. It'll get me there faster. Get shit done quicker.
If I'm really hungry and really want like an ice cream or a burger or something, I'll run. If I run in for the bus, I'll run.
Yeah.
Anytime I'm trying to be efficient. For some reason yesterday.
And video games are a lot about like efficiency. Some reason, Torque, and I know you don't run like this, but I'm just picturing you with your hands down straight at your sides, Not even moving. No, your arms like slightly back, like hands straight out like this, and just running.
Anime ninja.
Yeah. Just to your car.
Come on, I played sports. I know how to fucking run.
I know you do. I know. I just, for some reason, that's the picture I get in my mind. It's hilarious.
I've got that now as well.
Duckforce1 says, which form would you like eating and drinking for survival to take in Star Citizen? What would it make you like it enough to not be annoyed by it and have it bring depth to space survival gameplay?
Fuck it! I don't want eating and drinking.
I don't want it.
I don't want it,
at all. It's not. It was never supposed to be part of the game from the start. From what we understood, it was going to be.
I want it to the point
based on roleplay.
Where
and you
I
guys
have
touched
to,
this last week on the podcast, right?
Yeah, I want it to the point where I have to collect it and store it on my ship for my AI.
For your NPCs.
For
the
my
reason your
NPCs.
NPCs stick with you, they need somewhere to eat. That makes sense from large ships.
Okay.
Yep.
I really like that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mess hall. And if for some reason you can't...
why have a mess hall if you don't have to stock it?
Yeah, exactly. Or people aren't going to use it.
If you can't get them food, I'd want them to either consider leaving or for them to charge you a lot more money because they have to get their own food. Well, fuck this.
Yeah, like
This
if
is
you
not fun.
if you can stock up food for cheap, it could lessen your cost because you can include that in the cost of employing
like
them.
that. So,
I like that.
Guns and Glue says, what do you think about CIG taking resources out of 3.0 development to make 2.6 patches? Do you think that they're patching too early since the item system and main patches are in 3.0?
First off, I hate... I don't want to bash your question. I hate these kind of questions because you have no idea if they're taking assets away. You have no fucking clue what you're talking about. I don't know. We don't know what we're talking about as far as that goes. So making assumptions like that, I don't think are fair. But
right.
I think they're still working on the things to make 3.0 happen. Right.
Right.
Like I said, Pirate Swarm.
So my big
things.
argument towards this is these 2.6 patches are things that were supposed to be included in 2.6, and these are things that need to come out before 3.0 comes out. So whether they're working on 3.0 or not is kind of irrelevant. These are things that need to get done before 3.0. So by having these people on, even if they are being supposed to be working on 3.0, having these people work on 3.0 and not 2.6, 3.0 would then never come out because you need the network stuff that they're working on. You need the mega map stuff that they're working on. You need all of this other stuff that's coming in 261, 262, etc.
And Sean Noonan typed in the chat and said, it all goes to the same game.
Yeah, it all goes to
it
the
all
same
leads
point.
to the common goal.
Yeah, exactly.
So I didn't want to be rude and say that your question, there are no dumb questions or anything like that, obviously, right?
That's not dumb.
And this question sparked a little bit of a conversation. Good question. But I just hate when people assume that CIG is doing something when you have no idea what they're doing.
There are also questions where the question is literally, redacted, guys, pull some answers out of your ass.
Yeah.
It's like, and they were like, well, we can do that, and we will.
We will.
Otherwise, we wouldn't
know
have a
the
show.
real answer. Yeah.
But it's like we can't comment on a lot of stuff without just literally pulling it out of our ass.
Yeah.
So,
we don't know.
we don't fucking know. But Saurus had a good point with all of that. What you just said. Yeah, we need it all.
Yeah.
It's all.
Exactly.
It's
You
literally.
need it. It's irrelevant. Whether
They're
it comes.
they're not making anything that we don't need. And if you're looking at Starmarine and saying, well, we don't need that. Yes, you absolutely do. You needed the animations, the
weapons, the armor, the
armor,
the stations, everything.
Yeah, and the mounts and vaulting and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
grenades,
of course
everything.
we did it.
Next question comes from Nubsley. It seems to be the general consensus that the Glaive in its current state isn't a very desirable ship to fly. Do you think that it will either naturally become more useful and desirable as the universe gets fleshed out with more ships and content, or that it'll get a serious rebalance to make it more desirable? I think this can be.
It'll get a balance.
I think this can go for all ships.
Like a trophy ship.
I think this can go for all ships. I think you're going to see more balancing and everything. This isn't really the time for that, right? Like, yeah, they balance it to a certain extent, but
they're balancing some things.
Yeah, they're balancing some things to some certain things, but the overall whatever. And this isn't a ship that's flown by a lot of people. So as of right now, maybe it's just on the back burner. We don't know.
What if it's balanced because in a certain way because it's a ship that the AI fly in
Yeah, definitely.
Vandal Swarm. So
Definitely.
they're a little toned down, and what if they balance it? And maybe that ship in particular is one of the only ships that will
Maybe
get
that's one of the
significant
benefits of Pirate Swarm, right?
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
to
So we'll
bring
see.
those other ships up to par.
I mean, I would like to see the Asperia replicas kind of just better than the alien versions.
Ooh, I feel the opposite way. I would like to see them
No,
less good because they should just be sitting in your hangar as a trophy. Look what I
no.
have.
So I see the way that Asperia do stuff is that they grab alien tech and then they modernize it or make it more
Humanize
effective.
it is how I look
Humanize
at it.
But I think that they give it all the latest technology and features. So, for example, the Vandal stuff isn't necessarily particularly technologically worthy. They've got they swarm with their ships and they've got some bits and bobs that they do, but the Asperia tech on the ships shouldn't make them better. That's why I see it.
All right, I'll quickly play devil's advocate then.
I'm not talking about specifically captured ships. I'm talking about remade ships that they go.
Well,
the Prowler's better.
Yes, but they do that based on captured ships, and those captured ships were likely captured a while ago. Therefore, the tech is probably not as good. And how do they know how good the tech is that the current Xi'an, Banu, Tavarin, and Vandal have? So I think it should be the exact opposite, where the ships that you have should be less good because their tech has improved over time, and you don't know anything about that tech. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I see it like the complete opposite end that you are.
So, I'd like to see them because human tech's pretty good compared to the Vandals tech, for example.
Well, is that okay? I don't know the lore. Is that a known fact?
I think aren't they 200 years behind us in tech for their ships?
Then why are they like smashing us and on planets and shit?
It's quite a lot of them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, maybe that's the swarm tactics or whatever. Okay.
Next.
No, that's it.
Okay, next question is from Beef Supreme 01. My computer hardware is pretty old. He's got a 460 with 2 gigs, but still runs Star Citizen. Does it make sense to wait until the PTU drops to upgrade or sooner?
Wait until the netcode's fixed, and then everybody can accurately judge what kind of frame rates you can get with hardware.
That answer is right and wrong. So it depends. Are you happy with the games? Are you happy with how games play right now? If you are,
other games, you mean, right?
Yeah. If you are, then just hold off. There's no reason to update, whatever, right? Yeah. But, things are just going to get cheaper as time goes on. And if it's not a big deal and you don't play a lot, it's not a big deal. But if you are playing other games and you do want to upgrade, any of the current hardware is going to be any of the current, medium to high-end hardware is going to be more than enough to run Star Citizen when it's released.
Yeah.
I'm talking anything from the 970, 980, 1060
even the 700
stuff,
series,
even some of the even like the 780 stuff, right? 770 is still okay, and it's still going to be a big upgrade to you. It really depends on what other stuff you're playing and what other things you're running on your computer. If you are,
as far as
Star
Citizen goes,
just Star Citizen,
wait till 3.0.
Yeah,
you can't
3.0.
judge until there's.
I would even say wait until
bottleneck.
or wait until Squadron 42. But I mean, just know that any of the current decent hardware now you'll be fine for when the game comes out.
Yeah, because I think that's what they're basing.
And you can always reach out, if you found something and you think there's a good deal, you can always reach out to. I know at least myself for Bored. I don't know, Twerk, how comfortable you are with hardware stuff.
Pretty comfortable. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about no, we got it, guys. We got it.
We saved it.
What do you mean by comfortable? When
people ask you about hardware stuff.
I'm not super comfortable because I really only know with what I have.
So
I know AMD and Intel. I don't know anything about AMD. I only know Intel and Nvidia pretty much.
Yeah.
You get comfortable by putting answers at your ass to act like
the other thing too is there's usually people in chat that are happy to help out as well. So, next question is from Bad Breath Bob. The flight model has been in the works for years, and despite everyone going crazy for ships, very few people fly. And I'm gonna add to this editor's note: fly now. More people play Star Marine in things now than Arena Commander by almost 10-to-1 ratio. For a long time, I've heard backers complain about the same old game being by the same game companies. Why is the community more interested in the same old boring FPS gameplay and Star Marine than they are ship flight combat? In parentheses, I'm going to add now, because we played with ships for the last 2 years, and this is something new for Star Citizen.
It'll probably die down if you gave it the similar amount of time without any new content, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, look at it this way.
All the ship content has been consumed already.
And I think most people, this vote was done a long time ago, but it was also done when we only had ships. And I think most people that are interested in space sims and the space genre are kind of interested in spaceships as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this vote that they did was, are you more interested in combat or non-combat stuff? And 80% of the people said they were interested in non-combat gameplay. So that's why people are buying ships. Most of the ships that they're probably buying are non-combat related ships, and they're waiting for those mechanics to come out.
And those they don't exist in the persistent universe.
Yep.
Yeah, like FPS won't be as crazy, I think, when 3.0 comes out. Once you have planets that you're going to be able to go and explore and do all kinds of other crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Our next question is from Gritspitter. This is a speculation question for down the road, he says. What are your thoughts on character slots for accounts at release? More precisely, how do you think ships which are bound to account would work with multiple characters on one account? Would each character have access to all your ships? Would they persist depending on active character? Example, upgrades, whatever.
No,
Thoughts?
so that will be set based on the controlling character will go, these characters have access to this ship.
Yes, whether you're on if they're controlled by you or controlled by somebody else entirely.
Yep.
And they'll just be able to call them or whatever whenever they want. So
yeah,
I don't think the character slots have anything to do with that.
I'd like to see them be NPCs on your ship that you can kind of swap between.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yes, but they have talked about that.
Like
and that's
even if they made them non-functioning NPCs that just hang out with you. You know what I mean? Like, so they don't do anything critical. Yeah. Because you can't hire them, you can't fire them. They're part of your account. But if they were just like the guys that hung out on your ship,
or in your hangar,
yeah.
But then
just
your
buddies,
you can play as them, but you have to come home to switch or whatever. You couldn't just switch on the fly. I don't think I would like that.
Right.
Yeah.
That Gamer Dude 3 says 1. Should ship speeds be based more on acceleration and thruster placement? This would affect things like turning radius, straight line acceleration, deceleration, etc., and make smaller ships feel faster and lighter than heavier ships. And 2, do you think ships should have all the same top speed? This would allow larger ships to travel at higher speeds, and should that top speed be higher, maybe something in the 2,500 meters per second range. So let's do it one at a time. Should ships' speeds be based more on acceleration and thruster placement?
I've always wanted them less based on thruster placement because I think that's when ships started getting weird and acting up. But that's how they do stuff, right? I almost think that's why the Cutlass sucked. Yeah. Is the thruster placement was all weird.
It was very weird.
Yeah. I would. So no. For that one. What was the next one?
Do you think all ships should have the same top speed?
No, absolutely not.
What if they all had
the video game?
Yeah, but what if they all had the same top speed but had different acceleration to get to that top speed? Would you still say no?
Racing very odd. I mean, yeah, definitely no.
Then you could never catch up to anybody. It's who starts first.
Yeah, you need to have a better.
In a lot of situations.
Yeah, it would just be whoever has the.
But that's how it is now, right? Because if everybody brings an M50, it's whoever starts first. If you want to break it down that way. That's not. I don't think that's a very good argument.
In most situations, not everybody flies the same ship.
Right. I like the direction the flight model's going.
I do as well. I don't mind the idea of having all ships having the same top speed. I don't like the idea of them all having the same acceleration. So maybe they could all reach 1,000 meters per second, but it takes a constellation twice or 3 times as long as it does for an M50.
I want them to have different top speeds and different accelerations.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it makes them feel more different as well. Yeah, exactly. I'm not against them having different top speeds. I'm not against them having the same top speed either, if that makes more sense. And then should top speeds be higher? They've talked
On
about
some ships, yes. On some ships, no.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna see some ships the top speed get higher, and some ships they're gonna be lower.
Yeah.
But I don't think overall they should all be higher. I mean, they talked about it before, where the issues were when they had those higher speeds and bringing all that content in at the same time and everything. It just made things really weird.
Yeah.
Speedy Racer says, do you think that it's time for CIG to have a community manager reshuffle? As since Disco Lando has taken over from Ben Lesnick, our community information engagement has dropped to an all-time low with CIG themselves. I understand that Disco has a lot to do with scripts and production and streaming, so should they just let Disco concentrate on the production and let people like Ben and Redacted, etc., be the connection between community and the devs?
Well, we shouldn't be the connection between
No.
the community and the devs at all. While that would be cool, I don't want to be hired by CIG.
Yeah.
But
I mean, unless they want to add
I don't
to
think it's
sponsor
I don't think
list.
it's Disco's fault.
No.
I think it's the fact that the devs need to work and it's hard to get them on the shows.
Yeah, I think it's,
Right?
it's
I don't think that has
difficult to
anything
get
to do with
content
Disco. I
out
think
while
you're
they're in
pointing
the
the wrong
process
person.
of
We're not
being
in a
on
position
permanent
to
crunch
know
time.
what better options are. We're only in a position to say what we want and what would, if this works, this is a good idea, sort of thing.
I don't think we need more or different community managers.
No, and nor would we know if that would work to whatever end that you want. We're very good at saying do this better, or that wasn't very good, do this better, or I'd love to see this. But we're not very good at like this is the tool that you should use to make this happen because you need to hire this person. We're not in a position to be able to say that. We have no fucking clue. I'm not a project manager.
Yeah.
I don't know what people do and what they do. I don't even know what people do at CIG, to be honest. I don't know exactly what Disco's role is. I think there's been some good stuff very recently that they're doing and they're producing.
And I don't think community
there's been some bad
engagement's
stuff
at
as
an
well.
all-time low either.
No, I mean,
I think it's the community's gotten significantly larger. They can't pay attention to every person anymore.
Mhm.
You know?
CIG have definitely done stuff wrong, and they've definitely done some stuff right. I don't like this question.
I think it's a learning
loaded question
experience.
for us.
It's definitely a loaded question, but I thought it was something that, you know, maybe this is maybe a legitimate question, and
Not about one person in particular, though.
yeah, not about one person in particular, but like
No.
just like
I don't think it's fair.
Yeah, I think it's a learning experience in general for everybody. There's no other games that do it like this. So, you know, as critical as the community or even us can be sometimes, you have to also step back and realize that this is the first time they're doing stuff like this, you know? And you know, they maybe have been doing it for a while, but it's still a learning experience all the way around on both sides of things.
Yeah, and then just real quick, Matt Sherman mentions, like, I'm only here because I'm on lunch. You know, and I also have a career background in terms of customer interactions. So, like, it fits that he can be here and interact with us and do it within...
Yeah, it's what he's used to and comfortable doing.
And not doing anything that he shouldn't be doing, you know, saying things that he shouldn't be saying, all that stuff. And he says, enough other people here, not everyone wants to be known on an individual level, or not everyone has the time to make comments, you know.
Or get on camera.
You know, on or off camera. Like, Matt knows when I was out there for the anniversary live stream that there's a guy, I'm not even going to mention his name because I know he doesn't want to be known at all. I walk by his desk and he's watching the Redacted podcast and he's a big fan and he loves, you know, he's the go-to guy at the office. When anything goes wrong, they go to him. And he absolutely said he will never go on camera, ever.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, doesn't want to be, but he would be a great guy to have on the on a show. It's just he doesn't want to.
Yeah.
You know,
the camera shy. I'm an attention whore. I love the camera.
not everybody's like bored. All right.
No.
Next question's from Dimaskull.
They wish they were. They wish they were.
When do you think we'll be able to start an Arena Commander game within multi-crew ships together? And how important do you find this feature? So being able to...
Go ahead.
Yeah, to spawn in together, we're talking like 4 people spawn in, and they all spawn in the same ship. And go to their different locations.
Chris Roberts mentioned at the end of ATV today, or this week, I should say, I watched it again today, that they have a lot of things planned, new game modes and maps and things like that.
Bless you.
for
Bless you
AC.
again.
And I assume that that's one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So,
think that's
I don't know
something they
when,
want
but
to
maybe
bring
sometime
in.
this year. Yeah.
Probably as soon as possible.
Eh,
Um,
Did you just dap?
I just was sneezing. That's what it was.
Okay.
It's my sneeze. It's how I sneeze.
Achoo! My mic fell. Doing that.
Good job. Good job.
Thanks,
You have
man.
to,
Yeah.
you have to properly dab. Yeah.
The full dap.
Covent Garden Martin says, when is the next big public event RSI will be attending to possibly show major changes or features? For example, Gamescom.
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 Yeah, that is the
Next.
one that we're aware of. Next question.
Next.
Jack Avalon. Hey guys, thanks for all the great content that you provide. Possibly complex question ahead. How do you think capital ship navigation will be done? Will you be able to select a heading degree and pitch degree relative to the star and planet orbits of that star in a solar system? If so, then will it be completely automatic or will you be able to go hands-on? Thanks in advance. They kind of talked about this before. There's gonna be like the little entrance scanners that you go through to go into land to a specific area. There will be other parts of the planet where you can just go down and take on whatever. And it is hands-on. It's not completely automatic. I think that if you deviate from the flight path that's given to you, though, that the ship will then be taken over by mission control or whatever, and then it'll be automatic. But until you go and do that, it'll be hands-on.
Mm.
Also, from what we've seen of the freelancer in the Gamescom demo, when we were talking about a larger map of going around in space, like a capital ship, it looks like you'll literally go, I want to go here, and it will take you there in a lot of situations. And you'll be able to draw basically coordinates and stuff onto a map, and then your ship will take you there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that will be probably for capital ships in general.
Yeah, maybe a revised version of the automated landing. Oh, yeah.
The Wolfman says, do you think hangar spawning could work something like how GTA Online, spawning people's cars out of different garages but out of the same apartment?
I mean, similar, but just needs to look right.
Yeah.
It needs to look right. That's what it is. It's so you can go, I need to suspend my disbelief fractionally to know that it's coming out of the garage and coming up. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, I think there's a way that
start
they
with
can
realism and then pull back.
I think there's a way that they'll be able to do it where 90% of the time it'll be fine. But like if people are trying to do it or if there is a huge spike in activity or something, it's unattainable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how it'll be.
We okay to just take one or two more questions?
We only have 4 more. Yeah,
Okay.
4 short ones.
Lightning around it.
That's what I'm trying to do. Magnetron GW2 says, do you think they should focus a bit more on gameplay and mechanics instead of reworks and faces?
Yes. Boom.
Yes. Absolutely. Please.
Steve,
I've been saying it. Don't want to see ships anymore. I want to see game mechanics, but I don't think they could do it until 3.0 is there. So it's just
I want to see.
we gotta wait. We just gotta wait.
See loads of ships.
Also,
after they've got...
gameplay and mechanics are not the same people who work on faces and reworks.
Yes.
Next question. Steve J 1397. Do you think miners should be able to stake a claim for mineral rights, and with that claim, anyone else caught mining there could be fined and have their cargo seized? I think that could be a cool game mechanic, but I think that there are too many bad guys out there that will do whatever the fuck they want.
There's too many people out there too, so I don't like the idea that one person can claim an area. You know.
Yeah.
I like the idea that corporations in.
I think that if you want to claim it, you should claim it with your own security.
Yeah,
that's how you should
you claim it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And protect it. You don't tell people where it is, so you'll find something. You go, "This is mine. I found the rights to this."
And you hire a bunch of security, and if you see anybody else mining there, you ask them politely to leave, and if they don't, then you blow their ass up.
I think
that's
that
how
you
you
might
claim
see
it.
some planets though. There will be like mineral rights to certain planets where there will be like you need a license.
But that would be that would be like in-game lore.
But it's through a corporation that has mineral rights.
Yeah.
Not through a player that.
It wouldn't be through a player. Right.
That's the difference.
Yeah, that's the difference. Next question from Stasis Guy. In item 2.0, what item would you look forward to most hoarding or trading in?
Item 2.0 is not what you think it is.
That's not that. That's not
Item 2.0 is how components are going to work together on our ship.
Should we talk about cargo in 3.0? That's what materials were you most likely like to hoard?
Milk.
Alcohol.
Animals.
Breast
Okay,
milk.
done. Ruggedy asks, with what is expected to come out of 3.0 as of now, what are you most excited to do in game? Play with a lag-free experience.
Land on a planet.
But
Actual
planets are
tangible
after that.
gameplay, which is what I wanted from Star Citizen.
Yeah,
Which
take
is
something from a planet and bring it to a space station. That's what I'd like to
tangible,
do.
persistent gameplay.
Be able
Oh
to
my
go
God.
and mess around on planets and stuff.
Twerk, let's do this mission. Yeah, woo! And we
Yep.
do 8 hours of missions until we're like,
Yeah.
fuck, I want to go to bed.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So very
A video
quickly,
game.
guys, thank you so much for everybody coming by. Once again, we are sponsored by Antlion Audio with their new Mod Mic 5. Go check that out! Antlion in chat. Also, if you want to support the podcast and the rest of the team, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/redactedtv. Twerk, what are you up to this week, and where can people find you?
I'm just going to finish Mass Effect, but I want to talk quickly about the Patreon and the issues that we've been having with Skype and stuff like that. My number one goal as far as Redacted goes this week is to maybe adjust where we're putting the Patreon funds and fuck Skype. We have to come up with a solution that's better than what we have now.
This, yeah,
because this is unacceptable at this point. And I think what it'll do is it'll improve the audio that people complain about too, because we'll likely be using Discord, and that's probably much easier to work with. Because I think, honestly, I think the issues of people that are complaining about the audio, like with you being a little bit too loud and us being a little bit too quiet, is because your mic is going into your computer and our mic is going through Skype. And I think, I think everything leads down Skype.
Right.
So, fuck it. And yeah, we might try something a little bit different. Zoom is $30 a month, so that's the reason why we've kind of held off. I think it's 30, maybe even more. And I think that's why we've held off on it, because it's just a kind of a large expense for a weekly podcast, So it's something that we want to kind of figure out if it's worth it. But I think we've, after today and last week, it's kind of decided that we need to try something else.
Yep.
Right. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I got to talk about. I'm going to be playing Mass Effect this week.
Okay. Where can people find you?
Oh, but I'm also going to be giving away a Buccaneer this Sunday. This Sunday is our end of the month giveaway. So on this channel, people can find me. And this Sunday, we're giving away a Buccaneer, a Mustang Beta, a Dragonfly, and a $10 gift card all on Sunday. So we're giving away a big end of the month giveaway.
Sunday.
Yeah,
Get all
and
your
we usually
nose at Sunday.
We do those on Sundays. So make sure you're here Sunday, 6 in the morning until 10 in the morning. We'll be doing that. And then I'll probably switch to a different game after. All right. So that's it. Where can we find you, Bored?
Find me at Boredgamer UK on pretty much every social medium in the universe, including YouTube and Twitch and Twitter. I'm not sure why I'm showing the gun show, mate, but guys, pretty impressive, yeah? Look at these bad boys. Yeah, it's just going to be Star Citizen stuff this week. Streaming, I'm going to stream straight after this some Resident Evil, but in general, until I get that game completed, I get that game completed, until my mate Kit gets that game completed, we're going to be streaming that. I do love Star Citizen, but there are other games in the world as well.
Yeah.
Pew! Pew, pew, pew. What about you, Saurus? What are you doing?
I am going to be playing some Star Citizen. We have another Herald to give away today, so I'm going to be doing that. And then I'll probably be jumping into some Resident Evil. And then later, some culling with Rockzilla. You can find me.
Nice.
You can find me at twitch.tv/WTFosaurus on Twitch and on Twitter at WTFosaurus there as well. Thank you, everybody, for coming by for another awesome podcast. Very much appreciated. We will be up back here in a moment. All right, take care, guys. Bye.